Shalom. All praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the house of David, the elect. To you I say greetings. Okay, so it's 11:38 p.m. on so-called Halloween, and Lord willing, I can just get through this because I wanted to do a lesson on Halloween before this day came to a close. So Lord willing, this message is edifying. All right, I have a few scriptures to go over. I'll start with this one. Jeremiah 10:1. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." All right, so, this chapter really goes into Christmas. But, the main part that I want to get is the Lord's used his men. He's telling Jeremiah to tell the house of Israel that he says, learn not the way of the heathen. All right. And a way of the heathen is Halloween celebrations and Halloween worship and dressing like demons and warlocks. Okay. So I have a quick article because people don't know where these lessons, where these things come from, these origins. A lady asked, so I was walking through this lobby earlier, and the lady at the stand had she had devil horns on. And my coworker that I was with, she said, yeah, I don't like my kids or anybody dressing up with the devil horns and stuff like that. I said, well, what does it matter versus dressing up as something else? She said, well, those things are all bad and evil. I said, well, it's all evil, trying to stay still wise and circumspect. But she's kind of cool, but she just unknowledgeable about certain things. But I tell her well, it's all wicked, and she said, well, why do you say that? And I'm like, she's like, well, that's how it was when it started, but things are different now. I said, well, if something is poisonous from the beginning, that means it's still poisonous to this day. So if you have a tree and its roots are full of poison, the leaves and the fruit from it are going to be poisonous as well. And that's what people don't understand about the things that they celebrate. They do no research. And honestly, nobody on the face of the planet should be celebrating Halloween. Well, except Esau. Esau going to jump into it anyway. But nobody who calls himself believing in the higher power should be celebrating this. They've coaxed it with candy and costumes and make you think that it's something else. But let me go over this. It says Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. Okay, the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago in the area that is now Ireland. The United Kingdom and northern France celebrated their new year on November 1st, which is going off. It says this day marked the end of the summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Okay, that's because it's the death of the season as well. That's not the new year. But it says Celts believe that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. These people are wicked, man. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to the earth. All right. So, the Lord does have spirits out here. He has angels, apparitions, and things like that. He says in Psalms 68 that he sends evil angels among them. But these people, they were summoning wicked spirits as well. So they didn't say it during that part, but they did. And it says, in addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. The Druids were wicked as hell, man. Paganistic, doing ritual things. It's going to go into it a little bit about what they did. For a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort and direction during the long, dark winter. So they looked to these wicked men to guide them, It says, and some of these might have been Jakes, man. These Celts, these Irishmen, They might have been Jake's doing this wicked nonsense, man. To commemorate the event, but this got Esau all over it. But nonetheless, Jake could have been tied up in this too, man. To commemorate the event, Druids built huge sacred bonfires. All right, so already, when they build a huge sacred bonfires, that's already something wicked that they're sacrificing. It says where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. So they're offering up animals and crops, living things, to false gods, to idolatry. All right. It says, the other nations are going to do wickedness, but Jake was probably involved in this, man. They're involved in it to this day. Jake are the main ones. You'll see them cooning on TV, showing off their costumes. Yeah, man, it's the same thing. So it says during the celebration, the Celts wore costumes. And actually on Halloween, I heard something a few years ago about how Halloween, you'll find so many missing people and all types of wild shit taking place, man. It says during the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. All right, so that's what these people do now. They wear these costumes, they dress up, they wear all types of animals and weird creatures, and now they got the kids wearing superhero costumes and all of that kind of stuff. And as a child, you think it's harmless, it's no big deal. Let me just go get some candy. But we're creating a culture of ignorance, of wickedness, and not understanding its roots and what's really being celebrated, and the different deities that we're sacrificing unto by contributing to things like this. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening, from the sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. Okay. Let me see. Does this go into it a little bit more? It says, by 43 A.D. And look at this one point. Did you know 1/4 of all the candy sold annually in the U.S. is purchased for Halloween? 1/4, man. That's 25%. That's fucking crazy, man. Hey, this mirth about to end, man. All right. By 43 AD, the Roman Empire conquered the majority of the Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they ruled the Celtic lands, 2 festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. The first was Feralia, Feral, Feral Beast, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. And they also the Northern Kingdom had, got something like this, Dia de los Muertos, or Muertos, if I'm saying it correctly, the Day of the Dead, where they cook a meal and take it to the graves of their ancestors. Like they're going to come and eat the meals, but they're in the graves, man. All right? They're in hell. And by hell, I mean the grave. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple. And the incorporation of this celebration is Samhain probably explains that the tradition of bobbing for apples. You see that? So even bobbing for apples, man, is idol worship. Honest to idol, the goddess of fruit and trees, man, that's idol worship. All right, so I'm not going to go into the All Saints Day thing. But let me get back to some scriptures now. Okay, let me get Deuteronomy. I'll start with 4 and 6. This is Deuteronomy 4 and 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go as to possess it. All right, so the Lord has given the nation of Israel statutes. And see, let me start up at 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live and go in and possess the land which the Lord power of your fathers giveth unto you. So he's talking to the nation of Israel. So he said, Israel, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power Yahweh commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. All right, so this is our wisdom and our understanding, the law, man, the statutes and commandments. Okay, it says, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So that's how all the nations are going to bow when they see that this is make us more wise and more understanding than all of them, because we have the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and we're able to recognize them, reveal them, take part of them, and contribute, and our bodies as living sacrifices in order to do them. Okay. First I'm gonna get Matthew, and then I'm gonna jump back to Deuteronomy. Matthew, I think the 17th chapter. This is Matthew 17 and 17. Then Yahushua answered and said, "Oh, faithless and perverse generation." That's what we're living in, man. Faithless and perverse generation. That's why these people are running rampant doing what they're doing, man. They're faithless. They have no hope of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and they're perverse, man. You know, let me get that word perverse. Let's see what that is. Okay. Perverse. Diastrepho, which means to distort, turn aside, to oppose, plot against the saving purposes and plans of the Most High, to turn aside from the right path, to pervert, to corrupt. All right, so they're turning away from the right path of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, being a perverse generation. It says, "How long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him thither to me." And Yahweh shall rebuke the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. All right, so even though the disciples had less faith during this, it was meant for an example to show. But nonetheless, we come in this spirit of rebuking devils, of rebuking wickedness in this world, of rebuking our enemies, and rebuking most of all that spirit of wickedness within Israel. All right, to rid them so that we can try to cure them. Okay, the 1/3 will be cured. Okay, because what is that in Matthew 13? It's 13. Maybe it's 10 or 11. This is Matthew 13 and 15. "For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have closed, lest at any time that they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them." Okay, so that's the healing process. All right, even though their eyes are closed, they're dull of hearing, their ears are shut. All right, but the Lord he's given his word so that we can understand who he is and come back to them and be healed and converted, man. All right, so you can't be converted to an Israelite, but you can be an Israelite who is following idolatry and doing wickedness like the Druids were, and coming back to your nationality to be converted and healed. Okay, it says, "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear." Okay, so I got this last verse. This is Deuteronomy 18, and maybe I might get the Exodus too. This is Deuteronomy 18 and 10. So this is going back to the law, making us wise amongst the nations. It says, Deuteronomy 18 and 10. "There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, Yahweh thy power doth drive them out before thee." Okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to keep on. It says, "Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy power, for these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and to diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy power hath not suffered thee to do so." Okay, so the Lord hasn't suffered us to do these things, man. We're not supposed to have any sons or daughters who pass through the fire, who go and take part in these wicked ceremonies. Okay, using divination and talking to psychics, talking to people who can tell you about your future, being witches, these magicians, okay, consulted with familiar spirits, people that think they can rise up people from the dead, wizard and witchcraft, necromancer is dealing with the dead again, okay? So these are an abomination to the Lord, man. So this was making us a wise and understanding people, and that's funny because I was at camp, and I had a Northern Kingdom guy talking about. He come up and he said his mother is a spiritual person, or his mother or his grandmother was a spiritual person. I said, how do you get to that conclusion? And he said because his grandmother's a psychic. I said, well, she's a witch, man. You know, and that's the thing. People don't understand that. They think that gives that, oh, she can read things and she know things about the future. Hey, the Lord said that's a witch. Okay? And what does he say about witches, man? If I can find it, Lord. Oh, this is Exodus 22:18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. All right? So if this was in the ancient world, she would have got put to death, man. Okay, and the Lord is gonna come a time again when people like that gonna be putting to death, man. We supposed to put our power in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. We're not supposed to be out here doing this wicked stuff, man. Suffering witches to live and doing all types of folly, going through the fire, enchantments. You know, that's a wicked thing that the Lord don't take lightly, man. The Lord has shut your mouth, literally. He's done it to me before, man. The Lord will shut your mouth from speaking wicked and vain and carnal things, man. Trying to seek answers that he didn't give you, you know. So it says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, man. So Halloween, all in all, Halloween is wicked as hell. And you have to know that, man. You have to know that this holiday is not beneficial to the nation of Israel. All right? Ancient origins of Halloween. This is wicked, man. They sacrifice children, and they use these children now as a scapegoat. All right? It's all the same thing, man. They use children, they use animals. You know, they present candy, entice their children with treats. You know, it's all wickedness, and all is part of a plan, man. They're using these pumpkins, you know, carving faces into them. Everything's based on witchcraft. Women dressed like harlots. It's all wickedness, man. All right? And the Lord's going to repay all those. He's going to have vengeance upon all of his enemies and those that continuously take part in this, and they know the difference. All right? So, Lord willing, he protects all of our families who even condoning this wicked shit, man, if they be of the elect. All right? So, with that, I'm going to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the house of David, the elect. To you I say shalom.